And as the sound of Another Galaxy by Gary Wilson fades away, I'd like to say, hello there, fighting fraternity. Your favorite MC, your humble MC, Mr. FCC Ronnie Rowlands here. I'd like to kick off by thanking you for welcoming me into your home, your hearts, and your wildest dreams. I'd like to kick on by welcoming you to the inaugural episode of Ron on One. My opportunity to burrow deep, past the pre-fight posturing, past the pad training reels, and past the post-fight pontifications, into the lives and the minds of the men and women who make up our great sport, mixed martial arts, brought to you by FCC. And who better to nudge this fledgling podcast into life than my first guest, an undefeated professional prospect who is having the rocket boosters to the UFC strapped to his back as we speak. The Pink Panther, Kurtis Campbell. Let's get to know him. What are you doing there, Kurt?
What an intro that was, Ron. That was incredible.
Are you pleased with
I've
that?
never.
I
I'm
wrote it
pleased with
myself
that, but
in my own handwriting.
I've been excited for this one, Ron, and you started off with a banger.
There we go. Now, but Curtis, before we start, before we delve deep into the mists of time, there's one question that I've always had for you myself since the first time I ever saw you in the cage. It was June 2022. Now, anyone looking at you can see that's quite a strong prescription that you're wearing perched on your nose there. When they come off and you're in the cage, what can you actually see in front of you? Because to me, you must be practically blind without them. What do you see?
Not much. I don't see much. It's pretty blurry, and I sort of used to it now. So it's hard to explain something that I'm very used to.
Yeah.
So it is very blurry, and like obviously, if the opponent's on the opposite side of the cage, uh, trying to stare me out and stuff like that, which is normal. I can't really see them, so it's beneficial if they look scary. But yeah, I can't see much. I can see just enough. And like my coach Jason Tan, he always says, like, is everyone else seeing too much, and am I seeing just right, or is it the other way round? So I like to look at it as it, and it benefits me instead of
I
instead of
suppose that
a
them
negative side.
I suppose that them not being able to enact that psychological warfare on you by staring at you across the cage when you can't even see them probably does make you a lot more relaxed than otherwise you would be. But this is mental to me because some of the stuff that you do is so precise. I've seen you deliver a sort of honed in, absolute perfect coordinated liver kick. I've seen you deliver elbows in the right places. You don't know if you're hitting their liver or their arsehole. I mean, have you just mastered some sort of spirit sense here?
You know what, Ron? I feel like after a master time, if I was hunting assholes, I think I'd find a lot of them. But no, I'm hunting bodies. So, I'm finding the places where I need to hunt. So I think over experience of time, like when a footy player he does a certain amount of passes, it just becomes natural to him. And,
Really?
and yeah, just taking chins becomes natural to me, Ron.
Is there any, is it, could you take on a different opponents with many different styles? Some are more on the ground, some are faster, some are slower. But no matter how they move, you know how to adapt to it instantly, even though you can basically just see a cloud in front of you.
Yeah, I mean, I've got the best team around me,
Yeah.
and every but like in the gyms, everyone different shapes and sizes. So no matter what, no one's like anyone's gonna throw at me. I'm prepared for it.
Yeah. Okay, so that's what I always wanted to know. To me, you are basically you're like one of those ancient samurais who has mastered the spirit sense. But so watching you on screen, and I've been around you in person backstage. We're not going to have a tearjerker here. You obviously have a really great relationship with your father, your mother, and your sister as well. So you grew up in Liverpool. Whereabouts in Liverpool?
Melon and
Mel.
Liverpool.
And what are your earliest memories? What's that? What's the Campbell household like when you're a little kid? What are you all doing?
Oh,
Who's misbehaving?
abs absolutely getting bullied and victimized by my sister all my
Really?
life, probably. Yeah, she was like she was the hard one out of the two, and if like we're having fights when we were younger, she used to win them. So I had a good childhood though.
Yeah.
There was it was from what I can remember, it was just fighting from the start. It's obviously 7 is an early age, and
Yeah,
all I used to remember now is probably playing outside in my tie shorts and stuff like that after the gym. So,
yeah.
the childhood was really good. I had a good one. I was disciplined, and
Yeah,
I've got respect, and my mum and dad brought me up nice. So
yeah.
I can't thank them enough for the childhood that I have had, because I've been very grateful and fortunate for it.
So you were never a tearaway. You were never making mischief or trouble or.
I have me moments, Ron. I have me moments where I
Okay.
did get a few little belts. You know what though? I got a lot of belts off our live blaming me for stuff. Yeah,
Right.
and I just had to take them on the chin, and I got a few smacks for that.
What was the worst thing she ever blamed you for?
So there was the first one that comes to my head. My dad just got this new car, and my mum was doing hairdressing after school, so we went with my mum. And me and our Liv always used to just wait in the car, or we'd go inside. But one day we were waiting in the car,
Yeah.
and she kicked me, and I mean it was the cleanest sweet chin music straight to the chin, and I buttered like the top window screen on the mirror. So where like you look at the rear view,
Yeah.
that snapped off. But the way BMW do it, they attach it to the full window.
Yeah.
So if you want to get one of them replaced, it's the full window.
Right.
So basically, me and our kid have snapped it off because she's kicked me clean into it.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was a few £100 that I was saving up for a new bike or something like that, and I had to break into it.
Really?
And
Oh,
she got away with it.
and
She
at
got
what
away with
age?
it.
At what age did you or did Liv or you? At what age was Jay told? Listen, Dar, it wasn't me. It was her.
You know what? Don't he? Nah, he definitely does know now.
Yeah.
A few years. I mean, there's nothing like obviously if I've done anything stupid or anything. I think the family know about it. I'm not really fussed. Like they're all like my best mates as well, so I just tell them. But yeah, he definitely knows about it. Probably the last couple of years. I think once I hit 16 above, like my mum and dad started becoming like my best mates more than like my mum and dad. So
Yeah.
I've
Yeah.
got like that type of relationship with them.
Yeah.
So I don't really keep anything from them. So he definitely does know. Probably say a couple of years ago, he probably found out.
Mm. Well, they got to find out eventually. My brother once dobbed me in for smoking, and it was me who was doing it. But when he started smoking, I dobbed him into my mum. So there's always that retribution between siblings. Now, what was your schooling like originally? Because I read
Uh,
somewhere that you had a bit of a hard time at school.
yeah, I mean for the first first few months and stuff like that, when everyone's sort of settling in,
Mm.
everyone you sort of find yourself in a food chain, and that's when I sort of had my problems because obviously I don't look like I'm fighting, and
Mm.
I don't class myself as one of the bottom of the food chain. I work too hard for that. So when you find in them situations, I was an easy target in a sense. So, well,
Mm.
I just like other than a few occasions where there was the bullying situation and stuff like that. Other than that, I had a really good time in school with my mates.
Yeah,
Otherwise, I hated it. I hated learning. I hated being there. I just thought it was a prison 24/7. But I also think everyone should go to school. I don't think homeschooling's right
no,
because I feel like me getting bullied was mainly character building for me, and I wouldn't take it back. I'd do it all again tomorrow if I had to, because it's made me the person who I am. And that's when you start to face like challenges in life, and you first get your little challenges, and it's not all a breeze. So I feel like if you can get through school and
yeah.
your head's on straight, I feel like sort of life you can go at it from a good perspective.
Did you? So you were basically saying that you weren't really an academic kid. Were you a pain in the ass in the classroom? Were you in the bottom set for everything, or did you just keep?
Yeah, I was more stupid. The bottom set for everything, and was just a chatter. It
Yeah.
normally just go in one ear and just out the other, to be honest, Ron, if it
Yeah.
weren't interesting.
So you'd say that there was a bullying situation. How was that taken care of?
Um, Me getting terrorized by my coach until I stood up for myself.
And do
And
you, do you
obviously it
remember?
wasn't. Yeah, I do remember it. obviously it weren't a nice situation, and I was only young, so I feel like that situation I weren't happy at all, and this that's when I sort of found out like sometimes you have to do stuff that you don't want to do for the right cause,
Yeah.
and and I feel like it was everything that I'd done and what I got told by obviously Kyle. Kyle played a massive part of it, and because he was the one who was trying to make me stand up to him. Because it's sort of your dad can only tell you so much before it gets emotional for him because obviously it's his son. So from an outside of it and a coach, it was a little bit more like he understood.
And so you're telling me that there was a situation when you were very young where finally you lashed out at the person who was screwing with you. Is that what you're vaguely telling me?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it didn't happen for long. It was only over a couple of days period, or like a day or two. It weren't for long, and obviously it got resolved pretty quick because yeah, I just sort of it's not the person who I am. I'm very opinionated.
Yeah.
Anyone who's around me, and if you ask me opinion or if I think like something's wrong, I'll express my opinion, and it's not always right.
Hmm.
And I've learned that the hard way. But yeah, there's situations like you get like that all the time, and like no matter where you go, there's always that arsehole, Ron.
Hmm. You're looking at him. Yeah.
No, you're not an asshole. You're
So
an
you,
angel, Ron.
I think that you, an angel with an, all angels have arseholes.
All
Now,
angels do have assholes.
I heard you mention the age of 7. That was when you first started training. Am I correct in saying that?
Yeah.
And as I understand, your father is your coach and seems to be some sort of super genius. Is he a fighter himself? Has he had experience in
Uh,
fighting?
not in not in the cage. He has grappling. Yeah, he done a lot of grappling. When we were back in the day, so his knowledge sort of come from years of experience. Because obviously I've been in the game for 14 years now.
Yes. But
So
your
them
dad,
four,
when you say your dad was a grappler, what, he was a jiu-jitsu? Was he on the mat?
wrestler, like more old school grind type wrestling. Just a horrible fucker to be honest. That's what his style is.
Yeah,
And yeah, he sort of just got that into me from a young age, being nasty, and yeah,
yeah,
it was all worthwhile. But he's had to learn himself through and learn how to, obviously manage us in the sense that he is doing and coaches. So
yeah,
it hasn't been just like he knew it. It's been like a good 10, 12 years before he started properly getting involved with
yeah,
us as a coach.
yeah,
And that's where a lot of people don't understand now, especially the younger kids. Sometimes the dads just need to take a little step back because they don't know, and if they do want to know, then they've got to put that time in that other people have put into gain that knowledge.
yes. So what was the first discipline, fight discipline that you trained in?
Thai boxing.
Thai boxing at the age of 7. And so what?
Yeah,
So your dad was a wrestler. That's ground.
yeah.
Why Thai boxing? How did that start rolling?
Um, so obviously, just that like needed to learn how to self defense, and that's sort of every fight starts on its feet.
Yeah,
And my cousins went to a Thai gym,
yeah,
so me mum asked if I could go with them. And first time I went off crying off the mat, hated it. But
really.
that's where I met Kyle.
So Kyle,
And
was he the head coach at this gym?
no, he was just a fighter in the gym that was coaching.
Right. Okay. And so you say you left crying after the first time that you went. So you obviously didn't. What happened to you when you were there? Were
Uh,
you just exhausted, or did someone hit you too hard?
Nah, I tried to brag that my thumb was hurting, so I didn't have to go, so I didn't have to do it.
And how did they react to that? Badly?
mean, my ma told me stop being a bitch and get on the mat. So I had to suck it up and listen, I don't care who it is. I'd rather take a smack off anyone else than my mum. So I
Really?
was on that mat. Yeah. She's got a good dig in her, like,
So
God
when
else,
it's
yeah.
first, I've seen people. I mean, I've seen really young kids fight in the ring, and I've seen them into clubs and at the gyms, and some of them they are crying in the middle of it. They can't bring themselves. When you're hitting the pads, that's something different. That's just patter cake. with force. When someone's coming at you and trying to hit you, it's very different. So how confident were you in stepping forward and taking a swing on the mats in these sparring sessions when you first?
Um, when I first started, not confident at all. I mean, still to this day, I hate getting it. It's obviously it's not a nice thing getting punched in the face, but over time, you get used to it and you learn to take a dig. And when you've took a few digs
Yeah.
over time, the chin starts to get stronger and then the neck gets stronger. So I feel like I've got a decent chin for now. It
Yeah.
hasn't been like fully chinned yet. So
I
I'm
don't think
happy
I've
where
ever
it
seen you
is.
get hit, Curtis. I don't think anyone's ever had the chance in the
There's been a few. There's been a few, run on the
Yeah.
sly. Sean hit me with a few little dagging elbows that I had on the head.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, he sneaked a few in, Sean.
Yeah.
To be fair, he
My
was
memory.
good. Him.
Well, so you came away from the first session crying, unhappy. Why'd you go back? Was it your decision? Like, no, I'm going to make this work, or was this your ma and your da saying, "Go on, you got to learn to do this"?
Yeah, it was the second one. If it was up to me, I would have stayed in eating sausage rolls and playing COD all day.
Ah,
Um, but they forced me to do it, and I'm glad they did at the time because I weren't just for fighting, and I didn't want to be a fighter. It was just sort of learn discipline and started knocking the weight off a little bit after a while, and
yeah,
just it's sort of changed me as a person, and I feel like I'm grateful that I found fighting. I don't think, especially at that age and that young, everyone sort of didn't know what they wanted to do, and I
yeah.
found something that I really enjoyed from an early age. So it was a
So, so,
blessing to me.
so, how many? At what point? Obviously, you hated it at first. It was, you wanted to eat sausage rolls and play Call of Duty, as you said. At what point did you think, was it then your decision to keep going to the gym? What moment made you realize, hey, I'm fucking good at this?
I started to enjoy it when I really started to enjoy it when I was seeing Kyle. That's mainly why I was going because Kyle was a character to that,
Yeah.
and I haven't been around much. He was very
He's a
outgoing
character,
and
I'll tell you that.
yeah. So I sort of my dad took a little shine to him as well, and then my dad started training. Like he was doing so I'd be there in the kids class, and then my dad would do the adults class the hour after, so I'd still be there, and
Yeah.
like Kyle would be training with my dad and teaching my dad, and then
Mm.
it was just sort of being around the gym and being around like the people. There was always older people, and then there was always like the kids our age, and
Yeah.
I sort of got like a good friend group from it, and
Yeah.
that's like my friend group that I've sort of stuck to. I've always like had mates who sort of fight, and I've got some mates that don't, and that's all right, but
Yeah.
the majority of them do.
Yeah. And so originally you go in and it's to learn to defend yourself. Then you form a real bond with Kyle. Your dad starts being involved in the gym. When do people realize, okay, we're not just teaching this guy self-defense. This kid's got something. Was there a specific interclub or a specific sparring session or a training session that made people realize, hey, we can send this guy off to places and win some belts?
Um, no, not until after I won my first world title in Thai boxing. I
Really?
didn't think I'd ever done it. Yeah, I was competing for years before this, and I was doing it for a hobby, and I was doing it because I enjoyed it. Like
Yeah.
Kyle was taking me up and down the country every weekend. We were going every weekend to interclubs for spars. Like that's what it was, and we were just having fights.
Yeah.
And some days it'd just be me, Kyle, my dad, and my mum.
Yeah.
And even my sister would come along for most of them, and we just go. I'd jump in the ring, have a few fights, and so would Kyle.
Yeah.
And like something, then the gym started coming, and it all sort of changed, but not until I was maybe I think I won my first world title in like Thai boxing or kickboxing at the age of 15. So
15, really?
yeah, and then 2 weeks later I won my second MMA fight, or like my first one on my amateurs, and that
Junior
was like
amateur,
when I
yeah?
really set in. Yeah, yeah, like my very first one. It was very early age. Like when I think it was an amateur B fight. It might have been, and when I won them two back to back, I sort of sat like Kyle and my dad down after that. I was 15 and asked if I could, go for it full time.
Really? So
Yeah.
do you remember? So obviously you had interclubs all through your teenage years. Can you remember your first fight in front of ordinary money-paying people with a ring and a crowd and an MC and all the rest? How old were you when you
Yeah.
first fought in front of the general public? And do you remember where it was?
Well, my very first Interclub in front of the general public, Paul Crossley actually refereed it,
Did
which
he
to
really?
be fair, yeah, yeah. Paul and me and Paul always joke about it. Paul
Yeah.
actually refereed it, but I think I thought it used to call the show. I think it's called maybe it's called the Sandy Show now. I'm not too sure if it's still gone, but it was called the Celtics back in the day, and it was like my very first time competing properly when it was like a really win or lose fight, and I stopped the Interclubs and I won, and it was a really good fight. But that was like the time where it was like it sort of switched to instead of doing it for fun, it sort of went a little bit more competing.
Yeah. So you win your first world title, and was this in the first round, second round, decision? How did you win it?
Yeah, absolute straightener
Really?
decision. Yeah, it was in Spain. I think I was 15 and he was 18. And when we stood on the podium afterwards,
Yeah.
he was in the second place and I was in the first place, and he's taller than me while I'm in the first place. So he was an absolute giant. But yeah, it was just an all-out straightener. It was really good.
Goodness me. And so,
Kyle actually dropped me after that fight.
he what, sorry?
Kyle got too excited and he just I had an egg guard on and he just clipped me with a little left up, but I was so tired I just went boom, just fell clean back. It was funny to be fair. It was class.
Can you,
That was in Spain.
so we're still on your early Muay Thai kickboxing career. Can you remember the hardest night that you had in the ring? The hardest opponent you fought, and the crowd wasn't with you, and you just came away from it thinking, gee, I fucked that up.
Yeah, I broke my foot in Birmingham. Well, it was rather Birmingham or Blackpool, and
What the distance
I don't
between the
know.
two?
Yeah, it was one of the two, just with a B. I know it was with a B, but I fought them both, so I don't know where it was. But I remember it snapped me foot in the second round, and I was beating him. I was up a round, and the lad actually didn't want to come out in the second round. He was saying no, and then
Yeah.
his coach sort of like pushed him towards him to do it. And as he's come out, I've hit him with the same low kick, stepped back and rolled like on me metatarsal and snapped me foot, and that was sort of like where I thought was everything just against me. I was winning there.
Yeah. So was that match stopped by the doctor, or did you keep going through the broken foot?
Yeah, it was just a no contest.
Yeah.
So
And so was
that's what
was
I
that your
ended up
first
doing.
major injury?
Yeah, that's when like my feet started to really kick off, and that was when I started breaking my feet. Then,
Yeah. And
and
so that would have been your first experience of rehab, not being able to train in the way that you usually do, and then returning from an injury, wondering if you've still got it because you're going to have a little bit of rust. What was training like for you in your career like when you were nursing this broken foot?
the broken feet weren't a problem because it's only a metatarsal, so
Hmm.
necessarily it's they heal on themselves pretty quick, like 2 weeks max. I think they're very quick healing bones or something along them lines where they only give me a boot and it wasn't too much.
Hmm.
The very first time I went through rehab properly is I snapped my tibia, fibia, my ankle and my growth plate. She shattered my old left leg, and that was on my mate's trampoline. And that was like
That wasn't even in the
I
ring.
fought. No, I fought the week before. When I
Yeah.
think it was 13. I fought the week before,
Yeah.
1 in 43 seconds or something like that. So with a key lock. Oh yeah, yeah, I think it was a key lock, and then I was so angry because I put so much time and effort in and it went so quick. I was like, well, if that's what it's going to be like, I'm not doing it. I don't want to do it no more
Yeah.
because it's just I'm putting too much time in for not getting a fight because I just wanted to fight. And then I was like, I'm going to my mate's party the week later, and it was only a win. Obviously, we were only kids, so we're not a massive, but just being a sausage on his trampoline, trying to jump that high, and it was a gymnastic trampoline. I
Hmm.
went too high and come back and just landed funny on my leg and just shattered it. And I remember being out for like 3, 4 months. It was the worst thing I've ever done.
So how were you keeping yourself active during this rehab period, and what's it doing to you mentally? Because you want to get back
Uh,
in.
Rehab consisted of just doing press ups, sit ups, everything that I could in my room
Yeah.
and fighting probably one of my mates at the time. Obviously, he's not a fighter or any, and Ollie. I used to just go round to his every night, and we used to just play the game, and it was just to keep me mind from doing something else. And I used to have my leg in a cast, and he'd just start grappling with me, and we'd just be having grapples for about an hour, 2 hours straight when I shouldn't have, and it was only me and him, and I had my leg in cast.
Now, there must have been a
So
point in
that's how.
your life, Curtis, because you are a very, very decorated Muay Thai fighter. You are and are continually you are a decorated MMA fighter, and we are still decorating you. We have yet to see the best of Curtis Campbell. Your best work is yet to come. But at some point, there's a choice. Do I go and do Thai boxing, or do I go and do MMA? At what point does the fork in the road come? And how do you decide which discipline you want to take your career
I
through?
think I remember this moment like it was yesterday. Me dad introduced me to grappling because Kyle started getting into it.
Hmm.
He already done bits before it, but the coach started evolving into Muay Thai and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. There was no really crossover. It was only the two, if you
Hmm.
were MMA.
Yeah.
So we started bringing that in, and I started learning Jiu-Jitsu, and I picked it up really quick, and I
Yeah.
picked the wrestling side up really quick, and I fell in love, and I knew straight away once I started watching UFC. I think I watched like early days UFC, like but well before UFC 100, well before that. I started watching it with my dad when like I can't even say he was fighting. I think Shogun was but one of them, but it was just dead really early days, Brock Lesnar days, before then. And
Yes.
then I just knew what I wanted to do. Soon as I seen the sport, and as soon as I seen how brutal it is, like picking
Yeah.
people up and dumping people on the head, even though Thai is brutal, I'm not saying that because they have it for,
They are.
constant rounds and cut each other up with elbows.
Yeah.
Seeing, MMA is different, and it's a mixed martial art for a reason. There's so many things to learn. It
Yeah.
never gets boring.
Yeah. And so when you were
And
watching UFC with your dad at a very young age, you did you set yourself the task of making it into Dana White's octagon, or did you think, that's cool to watch, but I'll just do me into clubs?
I never really thought anything of it. I just really enjoyed like watching fighting, and
Yeah.
I think one of my highlights would be getting up on the Sunday morning to watch the fights from the night before, and like go over them and watch them. But I never really took like a very good chance at like any fighters or anything along them sides where I was just like I don't want to be there until I started watching Joanna Jędrzejczyk in Cage Warriors, the Polish fighter.
Yes.
When she becomes a UFC champion, but I was watching her in the Polish days, and she was like, say this to everyone, she was the one that really like I wanted to push, and I wanted to do what she was doing because she was just knocking everyone out just viciously, and I just wanted to do that, and I wanted to do that in the crowd that she was doing it in front of.
Yeah. Goodness me.
Oh, she
And so you took
she
the
she sorry,
So you
go
take
on,
the
go on.
decision, I'm going to go down the MMA route. You've won world championships in Thai boxing, but you realize that you love rolling around on the floor, grabbing holds, taking people down. That's what you, and obviously, because you have the Muay Thai background, you can bring striking to the game as well. You're quite a well-rounded fighter. So, do you remember how you ended up in your first ever MMA fights? Was it as a junior, as an adult, and with which promotion were you performing?
My first ever MMA fight.
Yes.
I do remember this, yeah. It was ACB, Amateur Cage Battles, and it was Sean Hammers.
Right.
And I was fighting one of Sean's lad from Hammer, and I was the first fight on. And I remember there was a little like that was the one that I won in 43 seconds, and then the week later I broke my leg.
Right.
So that was like that was the best memory, and I got to walk out till I had my own song. And I remember I walked out to I think it was Intoxicated, the remix
Yeah,
Intoxicated,
yeah, yeah.
and I walked out to it, and I just remember being so happy. And I think when I really fought that night in the cage, I feel like that was where I felt at home the most. And Charlie Barman actually fought that same night, and his first MMA fight as well. He was one of my mates. He
Yeah,
fought the
Charlie
same
Bomber had the
night.
same gym. I've introduced him too. And so it's a different
Yeah.
setup, isn't it? So tell me the difference between working your way around a ring with ropes and an octagonal steel cage. Did you find that your
Well,
footing was difficult to find?
at the start, yeah, because I used to use the ropes a lot because
Yeah,
I was like a counter striker in striking. So I used to use them a lot because I like to bounce off them and then hit people or like bounce and kick. So going to the cage, I never really done that. And
mm,
I was always just like sort of outside, and then I think she once I started MMA and I couldn't bounce off it. All I started to do is just walk forward and then
yeah,
use just the inner outside of the cage to just dance around people, and it was a
yeah.
hard adjusting to it, but over the years I got used to it.
You're completely at home in there, so much that you actually wipe your feet before you step into it. The cage is your home, I think, Curtis.
Definitely,
Yes.
definitely.
So, Curtis, you win your first MMA fight. How do you build a following? Because you have quite a lot of people who come to see you at these shows now. Now, are these all people from the gym, or are you gaining traction locally amongst Liverpudlian fight fans who want to come and see you perform?
I'd like to hope so, that people also come,
Hmm.
out of the way just to see me fight, which they do, and a lot of people text me and tell me like, well done and stuff like that, and we watched it, and a lot of people tagged me in stories that are a lot more than I expected to be there. So I'd like to say that I have a good fan base, and probably the only way I would have done it is just being myself,
Hmm.
just being, unfortunately it's worked in my favor, and not everyone's a fan. You got a lot of haters
What do people
on the
hate you
same
for?
side. Anything, man. It's this world nowadays. Anyone can find anything for hate, but it's whether you as a person take it personally or not. Because
Yeah.
the jokes that get made about me, or the hate gets said about me, I laugh, and I feel like if you're not laughing about them, then
Because I've never, yeah, you've
you.
never acted, I've never known you to act obnoxiously or unprofessionally. You always carry yourself well in the cage. You have your moves that you have. You're wiping the feet the way you prowl across the cage. And that brings me to the persona. You're known as the Pink Panther. Now, to my fury, you have never walked, certainly during shows I've introduced you for, you've never walked down to the cage to the Pink Panther theme tune, with one of my favorite songs of all time. So take that on board. I'm going to be your music coach. Where does the Pink Panther come from? Why are you the Pink Panther? Because you're not a panther
Um,
and you're not pink. So what makes you a
Obviously, the pink says it all for itself with the attire that I wear on or I
yeah,
come out in. The Pink Panther name itself actually came from another podcast. One of the lads who does all the camera stuff for us now,
mm,
the Combat Wizard, but it was on the Super Society podcast,
yes.
and he just said to me like, it was before me featherweight title fight, so my second amateur belt, and he said to me, "I've got a nickname for you on like one of the gym podcasts," and I said, "What is it?" And he said, "It's the Pink Panther." Panther, and as soon as he said it, there was something about it where I knew straight away I can brand myself off that, and I can do something with it.
There
So
is something Panther-esque about the way you move around the ring. There is something quite kind of graceful and precise about it at the same time. But why were you wearing pink? Because I'm trying to think of a combat sports person who predominantly wore pink, and the only person I can think of is Bret Hart from
um, there's another one, Phil Davis. Phil Davis had hot pink shorts. He was seen Phil's was good. The pink actually come from me dad having a bet in the back garden on a sunny day, just when I was like fighting for me first title or my second title, and
Yeah.
I was just my dad just said to me like we were looking for fight shorts, and I always like the ballet judo type, and nice and like tight and short,
Yeah.
and my dad just said, "Go ahead, bet you won't wear these pink ones," just as a joke, and I
Yeah.
just said, "Go on, then I will." Just to prove him wrong, I was like, "Go on, I'll wear them pink shorts," and they come and we ordered them, and I actually really did like them, and
Yeah.
I feel like once I wore them, there was nothing else that sort of topped it, and I really enjoyed. the pink in them. So I just kept it.
And then the Pink Panther came along, and hopefully you've not been. I don't think you'll get sued for it at any point with your
Nah,
contest.
nah. Well, I've got my own like where I bought the rights to like my own Pink Panther stuff and like my own logo and stuff like that. So I'm all right. And obviously I've had to respect the actual Pink Panther brand
Yes.
and make sure I've gone about things right. So I definitely don't get sued and everything's been everything's been done right. So
So there
hopefully I
are
don't.
yeah. There are lawyers, so I couldn't start branding myself as Ronnie the Pink Panther Rowlands. That just wouldn't fly. Your lawyers would be up my arse over there.
No, not necessarily. There's nothing really I can do about it. And obviously, if someone else wanted to call themselves the Pink Panther, I wouldn't stop it because, it's their opinion, and if they wanted to do that, I feel like there's only one Pink Panther anyway. But I know there's another one who has that nickname in, and I think another promotion. He's like welterweight, and that's his nickname. So, there's I can't moan about it.
I think that there is something Panther-like about the way you move in the cage. Now, you accomplished quite an amazing feat. I remember when you made your pro debut, and obviously I wanted to do a big intro, and I said to your dad, what's Kurtis's big accomplishment as an amateur? Because I'd only seen you in one amateur fight at that point. I was new to emceeing. And he said that you won a number of titles in a number of different weight divisions. I want you to tell me the exact numbers. Tell me how many titles you won as an amateur in how many weight divisions.
Five amateur titles in MMA and across weight divisions in 11 months.
Right. So that must have been a hell of a weight cut and a weight gain. But was this a project that you had? Did you and your dad think, no one's done this before? Let's yo-yo the weight and smash everybody. How did,
Um, I believed in my abilities to be the best.
yeah.
I always believed in it, but I never really got the chance to show it. And I was in Dubai with Connor and Charlie, and I said to them, when we get home, boys, we're gonna like really smash the fight, and we'll make a run for the amateur scene, and we'll put our names out there. I
Yeah.
said to them, I'm gonna make a post Dubai to my mum's box room 3 belts later, and I've told this story numerous times, and I've told them that to them in person. And I come home, and in like a 6 month period, I won 3 belts across 3 weight classes. First being bantam, second being feather, and third being lightweight. And I fought legit opponents. These opponents were like good professionals like today. So
Yeah.
it's like they weren't mugged. They were at the top of the scene, and that's all I was fighting. Whoever was at the top, I wanted, and whoever was, I never wanted number two. You were
Yeah.
one, I was coming for you, and that's the hungry. And I felt like once I did get to the top, I wasn't satisfied. I wanted more. So
Yeah.
I sort of went international then, and I think the first time you announced me was for my international title against Milos.
Miłosz.
The Euro, yeah,
That
Milos.
was it. I remember it. I remember before because I that was only the fourth show that I'd ever hosted and my second for FCC. So I'm sort of crash coursing myself on local MMA, so I know everyone. I'm pretty good now. But I remember I'm going, oh yeah, Kurtis Campbell, the Pink Panther, he's coming. And I'm like, whoa, this guy's going to be something. And I remember Miłosz comes out and he had the temporary tattoos on and he was this sort of Aryan blonde European type. And I remember you came out in your pink, in your top knot, and in the big glasses. And I thought, are you shitting me? Is this who they're all talking about? And I knew the record of Miłosz. I knew how accomplished he was. And then I think you choked him out in the first round. Was it with 1 second to spare?
I think I had that. I think I had 5 seconds to spare
Yeah.
because I said I won my fifth belt on it, so I left it with 5 seconds to spare. I said,
Yeah. I remember making that call with 5 seconds to spare. Your winner could, and I thought, oh my Christ, okay, this guy is one to watch. So I think like a lot of people, I probably looked at you and underestimated you. And I sometimes wonder if that works in your favor. Now, what I want to know is specifically, now that you're a pro fighter or you're an accomplished fighter, what's life like for you on the streets or in the pub or in the shop? Do people ever find themselves wanting to have a go or wanting to try it on with you? Or has anyone ever started on you not knowing who you are and how dangerous you can be?
Not really. To be
No.
fair, Ron, like obviously because I'm training so much in a violent sport every day. When I'm outside at the gym, I try and avoid violence. I'm not really a violent person unless I'm with my mates, and then we'll just have our own little fights. But
Yeah.
like that's between us, and we're only messing about, and we know like our abilities and how far to take it. So I've obviously had a couple of like altercations where it's never had to go like too much on the street.
Yeah.
There's been a few, but I've never been really bad. It's just sort of like obviously I don't class myself as very famous or anything like that. I'm not yet because I don't think I'm nowhere near I want to be for my goals. So,
Yeah.
you know, I'd say I do get recognised, but I don't think I'm in like a category of anything crazy at the minute.
Yeah.
And so I think it'll be a hard one because obviously I've been brought up in Liverpool and I feel like when people stare at you, it's always who the fuck are they looking at? You know what I mean? Where now I feel like people stare to be like, is that person?
It's
Do you know
him.
what I mean? So I think understanding the two different sides, it's very hard because of the city that I've been brought up in. But I
Yeah.
think I get used to it over the time when it gets to it.
So tell me about the weight divisions. Was it challenging for you, A, to make those weights, and B, to adapt to, different skill sets, different sizes? You're going stronger, then you're going lighter. How did you prepare yourself to fight in a completely new weight class on more than one occasion in less than a year?
Um, I think bantamweight that was a very struggle. That was a really struggle to make that weight. I think I was a little bit too big coming home from Dubai eating a little bit too much food.
Mm.
So I feel like that was a good struggle for me. And then lightweight and featherweight, they're just a breeze now.
Yeah.
I make them pretty easy, and I was making them pretty easy back then. But yeah, just
You didn't find that
I
you didn't have to change your shit
yeah.
up when you were in
No,
different.
not at all. I haven't changed my stuff up since like the first amateur fight. I'm still in the same gyms and
Yeah.
still training. Pretty much the same schedule. Obviously, some stuff changed, but
Yeah.
I'm still doing the same stuff. It's not broke, so I'm definitely not going to fix it. And
Yeah.
I'm improving every day. So
Yeah.
yeah, I didn't really have to make a change up. It's never me against them. It's always me against me. And as long as I beat me, then I'm going to beat everyone else in front of me.
Now there's someone else who is, hot on your heels and following you to the top, and he's just turned pro. Connor the Flycatcher Walsh, Jip, as we all met him. I've seen pictures of you and he as little tykes. Why do they call him Jippo? And how old were you when you first met him, and what was your impression of Connor?
So we call them Jippo because we all know gypsies can fight, and that's just simple as because they are hard and they're very good. Most of them are boxers.
Yeah.
Connor or Jip, as some people know, can fight, and he could fight from straight off, and he used to love a little scrap. So Kyle just started calling him Jippo, and he looked like a little Jippo, to be
Yeah,
fair. He was dead small and he was dead stocky, and he could just have it. So
yeah.
that was his nickname, and it sort of stuck with it. And I think I met Connor when I was around, I think 11 it might have been.
He's a bit younger than
Uh,
you. Is he about 2 years younger than you?
no, he's 11 months younger than me.
Right. Okay.
So he's like just under year younger than me, but he was like that sort of. He was in a different group and I was in a different group, but like me and Charlie have always been in the same group as well. So it was like sort of Connor sort of like joined us and
Hmm.
yeah, to sort of become mates with him through the gym. And obviously now looking back, we're both on massive stages performing
Yeah.
at the highest level. So you know,
Did we know that
it's
Connor was
good.
special back in the day? Did we know that he was gonna be something?
Yeah, it was it was a weird one at the start because you never knew how much he was going to grow or fill out, and then
Hmm.
all of a sudden he's just an absolute juicehead now, and So
He's
yeah, it
not
was just
actually on the, he's not on
he's
the
not.
juice.
No, he's not on the juice. He's not on the juice, but he looks like he's on the juice because if you've ever seen him at a weigh-in, he's the best looking on the scales and like physique type of way in my eyes. So it's like he was always the smaller
Yeah,
person, and he was always like the ones who was sort of like everyone sort of went to take it easy on, but.
yeah.
When that overhand right clipped you on the chin, you wouldn't be taking it easy on him
Yeah.
because if you weren't, you were going to kip, and that was his attitude. He never shied away. He
Yeah.
never fought people his size. He was always in the mix with us. So that's why he's so good now because he
He,
doesn't care.
I spoke to Connor very briefly. You and he are like this these days, and you travel together, you train together. I believe you had some trouble with the bicycles in Thailand.
Well, in what way?
He mentioned that something bad happened to your bikes, and you had to. I'll
Yeah,
get the text.
I think everyone has that story. Yeah, we've had a few ones. So I think the first time we went there, it's very sandy, the roads.
Yeah,
So you've got to be careful because there's just little bumps, and as you come down, boom, you can just like sweep the way. So I remember Connor and Charlie come off like the first couple of weeks, and then it was a couple of weeks later, and I was going maybe a little too fast coming into a corner, and as I've slammed on, there was nothing underneath. It was just pure dust, and I
yeah,
just went hit the curb and just went straight into a bush, and they weren't there, but my mate Sahel was,
yeah.
and he was just laughing and said, "Oh boy," he thought I was there to start. The only problem I had was I lost my glasses for like 5 minutes, and I was worried about that because I'm not too sure if I had a spare pair on me.
You were like Velma in in Scooby Doo. I can't find my glasses. Where are my glasses?
That's exactly what it was.
Yeah.
And then Solly was like Shaggy, no help. Said laughing. He's just laughing at me, and to be fair, I think he ended up finding them for me. To be fair,
Yeah.
I was useless. I think I ended up giving up, saying, "Come on!" And then as he turned his motorbike light on, I think I found them. So
Yeah.
I think he found them for me. So it was funny. We got bads and good parts of them.
So your final amateur fight was against Miwash. Was it always the plan, I'll beat Miwash and then it's go pro? Or did you look for something else to do in amateur and think, unless I go to super heavyweight and win that
Yeah,
championship, there's nothing else to do on the amateur scene?
yeah. Well, I was in Thailand at this point, and I was going to come home. So when I made my professional debut, I was supposed to have another amateur fight,
Mm.
and they were asking everyone, featherweight, lightweight. No one was taking the fight.
Yeah.
So I wanted to go up to welterweight. That
Mm.
was my idea. I wanted to fight at welterweight to, test myself up there. They're a lot bigger, and I
Yeah.
know the dangers up there and exciting me. But I think like some of the team are up for it. Some of them weren't. So we sort of knocked that in the head because welterweight is a pretty stupid step up.
Mm.
Um, and then I think I just got a phone call off my dad, and he just said, "I think we can't find you one, and I think the team want you to go pro. I think all the coaches are ready for you to make that step." And
It was
that was
blindingly
the
obvious.
yeah, it was the phone call that I've been waiting for years, so I took it in a heartbeat.
And obviously, Adam Tay was, keen to keep you around because, they say FCC is where stars are born, and you are very much one of our prospects. And this found you at UFC's Fight Pass debut, FCC's Fight Pass debut, actually, UFC's Fight Pass debut
Yeah.
a long time ago. FCC's Fight Pass debut. I sure as hell was nervous. You are now not just streaming on livemma.com, you have a global audience. Talk me through your first pro fight. I've said the Pink Panther, Kurtis Campbell, you're making the walk. To me, you look the way you always do. What was going through your head, knowing the stakes, the occasion, and the eyes that were on you?
Um, Just another day in the office. Obviously, it was a little bit of butterflies, which I normally don't have. But I feel like that was just because I was making that step to pro, and
Yeah.
I know it gets serious now, but now it just feels like another day in the office. But making a pro debut, I feel like there was a little bit of nerves, and then as
Mm.
soon as Adele come on, just another day in the office. Just walked out
And
singing
you
to Adele, and I just enjoyed it.
and you won. I think it was submission due to strikes, as I recall. It wasn't
Yeah,
TKO. He said, "Stop hitting me," and you did.
yeah. Well, I think it ended up going down as a Superman jab TKO because I think Paul stepped in just beforehand.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So luckily I got it.
And so you win your first fight, and now it's not phased you at all. You're not thinking, "Oh, thank fuck I can do it at pro." It was just, yeah, that happened. Feed me more. That was essentially
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, I went and got a Chinese after that. When I nailed the Chinese, I got the crispy chili beef on the go, and
Yeah.
that got finished in the first round as well.
Submission due to strikes. The submission.
Oh, just hoovered it all in.
Now, your second pro fight was against Alexis Sarmanditis. So I think I've said that right. That was put off for a little bit. So there was a big gap because I remember FCC got cancelled in March of last year and had to move on. So you have had, quite a lengthy break. What are you doing in this time preparing for your second pro fight? You come away from the first one. Is your dad saying, this is what you need to do next? This is what you could do better? How are we improving Kurtis Campbell in between those two fights over those months?
I think I just wanted to get the ball rolling and get back in there, and then I went to these tryouts and I caught up an injury in the warm up on the tryout, and it set me back for a few months. And obviously, in that period of time, there wasn't much training. I can't be truly honest, because that period after my pro debut to my next one, obviously my nan passed and stuff like that. So over them few months, it was mainly just rehab and just being in the hospital with like my family and my nan. So it weren't really about fighting that time. I think I got that step out the way, and I wanted to get the ball rolling. But I think sometimes life just gets in front of you, and I had them few months setback. But I feel like when the time was right, and me and Alexis did fight, I was in the right frame of mind, and them months of that rehab and that mental preparing, I think I was unstoppable that night.
What was your relationship with your grandmother? Was this on your maternal
Um,
or your paternal side?
so she was actually on neither. She just sort of take the placement. We met her once we moved. I've only ever lived in one house, and
Mm.
she lived as opposite from the day like we moved in. And whenever I went well, I was always at her house. She used to mind take care of me and my sister since I could remember, and she sort of stepped in for like a mother to like my dad and my mum.
Mm.
So I always called her nan, and she took that place, and like I never really I had like a really good relationship with that my other nan. So obviously, because one's passed early and then other situations, so I feel like she took that placement, and
Yeah.
she was the biggest role model that I've had in my life, and she was my godmother. So everything that I sort of had problems with, I just went to her because she seemed to answer them all. So it was
When
hard.
when you say a role model, what were the things? Because obviously your dad, he instilled discipline in you, respect in you. What did your nan? What was it about her that you adopted as part of your
Just
outlook?
She was so wise, and she was so, I don't know, it was just the way she was, and you knew she was Claire. She just, she was just she was just that person where she had the answers to everything,
Mm.
and she'd just make everything just be sound. And if there was any problems, she was the first one to sort it, and everything was cool. And she was just like one that I'd look up to, because she never took life too seriously. She had her age, and you could hear her coming in every Sunday night at like 2 in the morning, laughing her head off at the taxi driver, while she was drunk. So she
Mm.
never took life seriously, and
Mm.
I don't think I'm doing the same thing. I'm thinking I'm chasing my dream, and I'm not doing that 9 to 5 job, and I'm just going for it. And she was one of the ones who really pushed me and
Mm.
inspired me to do what I'm doing today. So I like losing her, I don't think I was in the right frame of mind. All I wanted to be was just with her at that time. So I took it hard, but I feel like when I come back and I knew she wanted me to, carry on and keep doing what I was doing. So I think that's one of the main reasons I'm pushing towards where I want to be today, is to like, make her proud, and when they're looking down on me, and make them happy. So besides like mum and dad, who I do it for, me and my Nana Claire's definitely up there.
What was her reaction to your pro debut? I assume she watched it.
So she didn't actually get to. I'm not too sure if she got to watch it because she was actually in hospital when I
Mm.
was fighting for my pro debut. But I went and seen her the next day, and she was buzzing with it. So, it made it all right. I went in and showed her, and I think she was always happy when it was an early night. But when I'd come home, and when I was had been a tough one, she never really enjoyed it. But when I come home, dead early, dead happy, with
Mm.
no marks on me, that's when she enjoyed it.
Yeah. And there's a lot more from you to come that she'll be watching from way up there with a big fella.
Well, 100%. Well, that's where I'm gonna go.
Yeah.
So we're going to the stars, so we'll see them all up there when we make it.
So you fought Alexis, and good God, I remember that. I remember I couldn't take my eyes on it off it. You finished him with a liver kick in the second round, but for the first round, you say he snuck a couple of elbows in, and his defense. God love him, you were on top of him for 99% of that, and you were just dismembering him, craning his elbow and strike and this and that, and he's defending himself, but he has absolutely no way out. Were you looking for the finish there? Were you thinking, what do I have to do to finish this guy? Because he really
Yeah,
took it.
I was looking for the finish. Every punch I threw, every punch I threw, that I was just looking to hurt him,
Hmm.
get him out of there. And Alexis were no mug, and he took them shots
Yeah.
like a champ. And he got back up and he fought me hard in that second round until I hit him with that leather shot. But
Hmm.
other than that, I remember being on top of him and thinking, is this man gonna go away?
Hmm. And eventually he did. And your third pro fight, Sean Perro, which is the first time I've seen you taken the distance, and you won by unanimous decision. Did you ever feel that you were in danger at any point during that scrap?
No, not at all.
No.
I felt in control of it. I felt
Mm.
like my wrestling was a little bit better, and I also feel like I could have got the finish. Some things that happen aren't supposed to in fights, but at the end of the day, you're in there, and rules are meant to be broken. So, that hindered me from getting a finish. But other than that, yeah, I felt like that the experience that I got with Sean, I'm really grateful for, because he was 5-0, and to take him to the distance, but in dominant fashion the way I did, I was happy with it.
And I suppose as well what you've demonstrated, because there are some people who, they're finishing machines in the first fight and then they get in the first round for all their fights. And then when it goes a little bit longer, they lose it. But you demonstrated, did you think, okay, I can go the distance as a pro. I have the gas tank to last 5 rounds and remain dominant all the way through? Did that teach you that, okay, if I'm not going to get the finish, I know how to take him the distance and make sure that I win the decision?
Yeah, I know what pace needs to get put up, and I know what pace I'll put in the gym.
Mm.
So I'm confident in, like me engine ability. I feel like the strength and conditioning programs that I go with me coach through Billy, and the fitness levels that I do push myself through, I don't think anyone can break me in there. And
Mm.
if they want to take me to deep water, and the last one to have that straightener, I'll be there toe to toe. So I don't think no one's took me there yet.
Mm.
Yeah, and I do feel like when I do get took there, I feel like that's when you'll see the real Curtis Campbell in there.
If you're not the real Kurtis Campbell, I do not want to be your next few opponents. Was there ever a moment, because you say, you'll take whatever's thrown at you. Was there ever a moment either in training, in the ring or cage, or in your personal life where you felt, I'm screwed, I can't do this? A crisis of confidence, or have you just been up and up and up ever since you realized you could do it?
Um, yeah, and you always have your stages and stuff like that, and I've never really felt like it's been I can't do it. It's always been like sometimes I got too sick of it and I got too much for me where I wanted to let go, but I feel like the addiction's too much now. I'm too far deep in it. It's my life. So other than the only ever other time I felt like, oh, I'm screwed here, was
Mm.
probably when I sort of opened my eyes up after stop being dizzy once. A monster of a man called Chris Green dropped me with an uppercut in sparring. So I think I shot in and he hit me with a proper sweet uppercut. I don't know, I think it was sparring for one of my early amateur fights and
Mm.
just a sweet shot. And that's when I knew I was screwed because he hit you like a tank.
Yeah, but you bounce back from it. And how long are you gonna? Okay, so you will have noticed that the folks at UFC, they like you. You are making the highlight reels on their socials, and they even have, a page on the Fight Pass app devoted entirely to you with a wee bio. You are regarded as one to watch. How did you, when did you realize, okay, the UFC they're mad keen?
Um, I think obviously different promotions have been knocking at the door for a good while now.
Mm.
There's only one promotion that stands out. And if you really want to be the best in the world,
Mm.
you're not going to go to a different promotion and say like, even though you have won that world belt, and
Mm.
it really is a good accomplishment because it's good level. The
Yeah.
UFC is the one to
Yeah.
certify yourself. The UFC is the one. That's since day one. That's the only organization that I push for.
Mm.
So I
And
think
so when do you think we will see you in the UFC cage? And if so, when?
I think 100% you'll see me in the UFC cage without doubt. It's inevitable. I think when the only thing that's stopping me is time and experience.
Mm.
And once I get me experience,
Mm.
I want to figure out to break time, then I feel like once from there it's gonna, the change is gonna keep on going.
What needs to be done? What else do you need to prove in FCC, in our professional leagues, before you can handle the UFC? Do you feel you could go against a UFC level opponent now and win? Or do you feel like there's just that little bit more that you've got to grind out before you're ready?
Yeah. 100%. I know I could be a contender in the UFC now. I
Mm.
think the only thing that separates me from the others is experience.
Yeah.
And I feel like that does play a lot of factor in being in them long fights, like example, like Sean Perrow and getting taken into waters that you never felt before. So I don't want to get rushed too early to the UFC
Yeah.
because I'm still young and I want to make sure when I do get to the UFC, I'm there to stay and I'm there to put on show and I want to make my title run great.
Mm.
And I'm not there just to be another fighter in the roster. I'm there to make history.
Mm. Make history. You heard it here
100%.
first, folks. You heard it here first. I'm looking forward to seeing it. I wish it would be me in there with you rather than Bruce Buffer, but I'm the gateway drug to Bruce Buffer. Everyone wants him.
Listen,
And they,
all I'm saying, Ron, is Bruce Buffer is one of the best, obviously, as we can tell.
yeah.
But Bruce Buffer is an old man soon, and his time's coming. So I reckon FCC, UFC, Ron, the next big promoter.
Maybe I'll see you there, Kurt. You
We've
never know.
got, we've got
I
it.
think, I think,
We've got to stay with the FCC though, because the FCC got us here.
yes, they did. They gave me my first ever gig. I didn't start on the local scene. I was brought up
Stay
there
with the
out of nothing.
ballers.
Yeah, yeah,
Go on, Ron.
yeah. But this isn't about me. This is about you. So, Curtis, eventually your fight career will come to an end as a competitor. Where do you see yourself after your professional career ends? Hopefully in glory after a lengthy run at the UFC. Are you going to be a washed up has-been or and drinking under a bridge, or are you going to be training people? Are you going to commentate, referee? Have you thought about your options for after
Um,
your career ends, which will is still a long time away, and there's no reason for you to have thought about it already?
I'd like to think that I'd be a good person that I was, and I'd be a good family man once I finish fighting.
Yeah.
That's what I'd like to hope, and I'd have like my own kids to grow up and watch my own grandkids and stuff like that growing up. That's what I'd hope. But if I'm going to be honest, Ron, I don't feel like I've been put on this earth to do anything else except from fighting. So I feel like once my fighting career's over, you could put me in a coffin and I really wouldn't care. I feel like this is the only life that I've been put on this planet to do, and obviously I've got my family with me now. So I feel like if the way I prioritize everything now, fighting is the only thing, and I feel like I'm a dangerous man.
Mm.
And when I'm in there, and I feel like if I ever start a family now,
Mm.
I feel like I'll lose that dangerousness in
Yes.
me because I feel like I have nothing to leave behind in this world,
Yeah.
and that's what the career's going to be. So I feel like once my career's done, I'd like to be a family man and I'd like to experience that side of life. But up until then, all I want to do is fight. I could be a cripple. After it, I really don't care. All I want to do is just live my full potential in my fight career.
There's absolutely no rush. I think that after your fight career, there is plenty more you can give, but you're still young. And I
Yeah,
gotta
but
tell you, Curtis, you are.
we'd all like to be sipping cocktails on a beach in a sunny place, though, won't we?
Yeah. Well, I gotta. I mean, here's my final thought. I told you my reaction when I first saw you, and I was proven wrong. It's been really fun watching you fight because you were turning pro just as I was finding my feet as an announcer. In a way, we've sort of been on a journey together, but you're going to go stratospheric. There's no doubt about that. And it's really nice to be able to say in 5 years' time, or whenever you end up in the UFC, I watched him, not every step. I wasn't around when you were doing Muay Thai, but I watched him every step from his AMI to his pro career. And I think that that will be one of the great stories of a fighter's ascension from the UK and indeed the fighting city of Liverpool. Kurtis, it's been really fun. Do you have anything you want to say to your fans, to your family? Any parting words of wisdom to people who are starting to look up to you, which they are because you're gaining in notoriety? Someone's watching this because they want to hear what Kurtis Campbell has to say. Might be a young man, might be a potential future superstar. What would you say to them?
Just be yourself. Just keep doing what you do and keep doing what makes you happy. And just big thank you to everyone who's around me, my sponsors, my team, and my family, and my friends. They're I couldn't do it without them. But yeah, to anyone else who's watching, if you want to do something, do it, and just be yourself.
Couldn't have put it better myself. Well, fighting fraternity, that concludes the first episode of Run on One. We spent an hour with the Pink Panther, Kurtis Campbell, and I hope you've enjoyed yourselves as much as I have. Goodbye from me. Goodbye from Kurtis.
Goodbye, Ron. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Well, fighting fraternity, I hope you enjoyed watching that interview as much as I enjoyed recording it. We have some links in the description below, a playlist of Kurtis Campbell's amateur fights. We also have a link to FCC MMA, Full Contact Contender on UFC Fight Pass, where you can see all of Kurtis's previous and upcoming pro bouts. If you like the theme music, check out Gary Wilson on Spotify. My name's Ronnie Rowlands, I'm a cage announcer. If you need a guy, I'm your fucking guy. Get in touch and check me out on Instagram at YourPalRon. See you soon, fighting fraternity. Yes, yes, yes.